Hello, my name is Dr. Glenn Fink, and I'm the author of the new book coming out this fall, The Gospel, God's Great Undoing, your part in the ongoing drama of good versus evil in the universe. You play a role, and you play an important role, and I want to equip you to play that role well. Last time we talked about how demonic deception lured us from the safety of God's house with the promise of knowledge, or science. And this time I'm going to talk to you about how we've confused science with wisdom. And we've taken science, which is a tool, a shovel for learning about the universe, and we've turned it into a religion. So, remember back in Genesis 3 when the devil told Eve that if she ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that it would make her wise. Well, the tree never promised wisdom. The tree only promised knowledge. Now, knowledge will tell you that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom will tell you, do not use it in fruit salad, right? Wisdom is how to apply knowledge appropriately. And that's what we actually lack. The question as a scientist I get sometimes is, well, I'm a scientist. Just because I can do this, should I do it? And that has been the theme of many science fiction shows and many other things, because it's really a temptation. Just because I can clone something, should I clone it? You know, that's the question that we ask. Once again, I want to remind you that the Latin word for knowledge is scientia, from which we get our word science. So science is the collection of knowledge and the process by which we gain more knowledge. But science is not a source of goodness. It is not a dogma. A dogma is a set of beliefs that is prescribed by an authority that everyone is supposed to believe. And you hear this today when people say, follow the science. And what it really means is shut up and just think the way we tell you. That's not science. And as I talked about in an earlier video, science and the Bible are not at odds. Science is the ability or the process of finding new knowledge. Scientism is the belief in science as like a source of moral good or as a dogma. And scientism, the natural science, only deals with matter and energy. Whereas theology, is the study of God. It deals with all kinds of transcendent reality. While science itself has to ignore all the things that it can't measure directly, theology deals with things that cannot be measured or are not quantifiable. Scientism automatically, a priori, denies the supernatural. But theology, the study of God, explains the supernatural context with which the natural world was created. And science in the natural only talks about observations, things that we can observe and measure. But theology comes from revelation, what God reveals. Some things that we just are not able to know can be revealed to us through the Bible, through God's influence. So a lot of people who believe in science, who have this dogma of science, this scientism that they believe science is sufficient to explain the world, and therefore there is no God. So they call themselves atheists or agnostics. And I want you to know, a lot of my friends who are atheists claim to seek God, but they are on the run from God. A friend of mine who was at one time the vice president of the local Free Thinkers Club, his name was Carl, and we would go around to the malls and things like that, praying for people and seeing the sick healed. And one time a woman came out of a wheelchair in the mall, and we got pictures and video, and my friend Carl went ballistic, and he asked, how do we know that she was really crippled? How do we know she couldn't walk? And he asked all kinds of questions, and all the questions we answered, he wanted more and more information. If I had given him a doctor's certificate that she had been crippled and she was walking, he would say, well, is that doctor qualified? Or did he use the right medicines? Did he use the right measurements? You know, there's no end of questions, because you see, atheist thinking precludes God from the very beginning. It is knowledge without relationship, and it turns that knowledge into a dogma of its own. It mistakes knowledge for wisdom, and knowledge is not wisdom. Knowledge does not make us wise. Knowledge might make us smart, but it doesn't tell us what to do with our smarts. And so when you have a whole bunch of people who do not have good relationships with a lot of technology, what happens? Well, look at our war-filled world right now. It's a terrible thing. I want you to know one thing, though. This is really interesting to me. It's the same kind of atheistic thinking that caused the Jews to reject Jesus. They just said, well, we have no proof of this. We can't prove. How can you prove that you're the Messiah? How can you prove it? Prove it. Prove it. Over and over again. They did the exact same thing that atheists do when they don't want to believe in God. When people don't want to believe God's revelation, they ask for more and more and more proof, but they will not. They absolutely refuse to accept. They categorically deny to accept any evidence that they don't want or that's not convenient to them. Atheists claim to be on the search for God, but they are searching for God like a criminal is searching for a police officer. They're not. So anyway, I want you to understand that atheistic thinking pervades not just scientists, but it also pervades the church. And it's the same atheistic thinking today in the church that precludes the ideas of signs and wonders. People say, well, give us proof, show us this. Do we know that? How do we know this? And they're only doing it to have an excuse not to believe. So I hope and pray that that's not you, but I thank you for watching and listening. And next time we're going to talk about social problems that arise from this atheistic thinking, from this knowledge without wisdom. Thank you very much for watching, and God bless you. Do you have any questions about the natural world, about creation, about science, or technology? Please feel free to ask them below. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. We're getting the word out to a lot of people who need to understand how the Bible and science are not in conflict, and how God is making this world a beautiful place for all of us. So God bless you. Have a great day.